Holy shit. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by BetUS. Man, I know it's only a regular season game and, you're supposed to act like you've been there before, but I have a bottle of Weller Antique 107 gifted to be my good friend Ray Marcano that I've been waiting to pop open. And I am pouring myself a healthy glass tonight because, oh my God, I tweeted it before. I'll say it again. I'm not sure I ever saw anything quite like that. Where what started as a basketball game turned into what can most closely be described as like a spring weekend concert at a college, where everybody's been up and drinking since 8 a.m. And it's just like everything's flowing and nobody has a care in the world. That was unlike anything that I think we have seen at Madison Square Garden from the Knicks, certainly. I mean, there were some games over the years where maybe some other teams walked into Madison Square Garden and played against the Knicks and put forth performances like that. I don't know that I could remember anything quite like that from the Knicks. I have a lot of thoughts. We have a lot of thoughts here. There are a lot of super chats already. I'm sure more are going to be coming in. So I'm going to try to make the monologue as I'm going to try to get to it and not dwell on anything in particular. But there's some stuff that we got to talk about. Thing number one, I don't want to hear anybody analyze this game and the first thing out of their mouth be, well, Memphis played a terrible basketball game, or Memphis kicked the ball all over the floor, or Memphis was nowhere near their best self, because the Knicks have now played 3 basketball games in the last week. First one came against the Atlanta Hawks. We won't talk about the Brooklyn game where they were maybe not their best version of themselves. Next one came against the Sacramento Kings, and now tonight, this one came against the Memphis Grizzlies. Hawks came in winning 3 in a row. Kings had come in winning 10 of 12, and this Memphis team came in winning 6 in a row, and had established themselves based on their style of play, based on net rating, based on everything, as unequivocally one of the 6 best teams in the league this year. So when the Hawks kicked the ball all over Madison Square, or right, that game was in MSG. Yeah, the game was in MSG. Kicked the ball all over Madison Square Garden and lose. And then the Kings kicked the ball all over Madison Square Garden and lose. And now the Grizzlies kick the ball all over Madison Square Garden and lose. Maybe it's not those teams. Maybe it's the team that they're playing. A team that all season long we have been fretting and just complaining and vitsing about and just always waiting for the part of them that was going to show up and announce themselves. We are for real. We are a real contender. It's not just this side of the ball that we could do it on. We could do it on the other side of the ball when we need to. And I would proffer to anyone who thinks that this was all about the Grizzlies just having a terrible game, that maybe the Knicks, when they're actually locked in defensively, and holy hell was this team locked in defensively from the outset of this game. Kudos to the Grizzlies, made a few threes, made a few tough twos, and they all that got them was, I think they had 52 points at the half, if memory serves. Like, Knicks defense was awesome. Like, if it wasn't for a few too many offensive rebounds that they gave up, and some really, really great shots from the Memphis side, I don't know that the Grizzlies would have scored 40 points in that first half. And then they managed to take that level of effort and somehow turn it up a notch after halftime Grizzlies got a few corner threes. They kept it close for a little while. And then eventually it was just, it's a tsunami coming at you. And there's nothing you could do. So if the Memphis Grizzlies let go of the rope tonight, which they did, I would ask everybody to look at the profile of that basketball team who came in here 31-15 and like as professional an outfit as you are going to find, as far as like you don't find games where they just, that's it, we're done, we're good, we'll see you tomorrow. They don't do that. That's not this team. That's not their character. That's not how they're coached. You know, their depth, especially, that's one of the things about their depth that it ensures is you're not going to have games like that. So the fact that they, in the middle of the third quarter, put their hands up and wave the white handkerchief and say, sorry, guys, that's enough. Y'all go have fun. We'll be waiting over here for the bus to take us back to the airport. Mercifully, the Knicks did that to them. The Knicks defense did that to them. And how many times this season have we been able to say that? Not many, but we've been saying it a hell of a lot more lately. So that's the first thing that I want to get out of the way. And that is a team-wide thing. That is a mentality thing. That is a professionalism thing. You know, where you come in from the outset and say, we are going to show everybody exactly what we are made of tonight. And we're not going to let this team do against us what so many teams have done against us this year. You know, are the Grizzlies the best half-court offense in the world? No. But guess what? The freaking Kings are a pretty good half-court offense, and look what the Knicks did to them. So, like, any way you want to cut it, the Knicks defense is coming around. And there's two words that I thought of as I watched that first half, and then continued on with the second half demolition: communication and cohesion. And actually, let's do a third C word because you can't have too many C words in there. And connectivity. They were connected, they communicated, and the end result was it was cohesive. Like, there were, again, a couple corner threes there in the third quarter where there wasn't a nick right there. But the amount of plays tonight where there wasn't a nick in the vicinity of a Memphis shooter, you could count on one hand. These guys were, closing out perfectly. And if it was a hard closeout and they ran the Grizzly player off the line, guess what? There was someone else there. And guess what? After someone else was there, the next rotation had already been made. That's playing defense on a string. That's what we've been waiting for all year. And it was as good as you will ever see it against, again, not the best half-court offense in the world, but a extraordinarily professional basketball team. And even though they didn't look like it tonight, a very good professional basketball team. So, yeah, I guess I said I wasn't going to go on and on about anything in particular. Well, guess what? The Knicks defense deserved to be gone on and on about tonight. As far as, like, things that made me jump out of my seat and scream and made my daughter giggle like the 8-year-old that she is because daddy is just not acting like an adult. I lost track at a certain point. But like, so man, I thought the cat wild ad one that he had in the middle of the third quarter, that was going to be the play of the night. I don't even know if that makes the top 5. Hart somehow grabbing a rebound out of the sky, which leads to a Mikal Bridges 3. That was the beginning of the end for them. It was part of that 13-0 run. You had the Payne campaign, 3 straight incredible finishes at the rim to end that little scare that we had at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter. You had the Precious Achiuwa block into a dunk that I was convinced was going to be the play of the season until literally 2 minutes later, where we had OG Anunoby throwing it to Mikal Bridges for the alley-oop, which, again, would have bet a fair amount of money that was going to be the play of the season. And then, there's a play that puts all of those previous plays to shame. When Deuce McBride made OG Anunoby, who OG Anunoby, funny enough, Memphis wanted him badly. Memphis wanted both of these guys badly, OG and Mikal Bridges, and we're getting to them in a second. And yes, Mark, this is indeed the Autograph signature moment of the game. Shout out to Autograph. I'm going to have a new 3x3 up tomorrow. So check out the Autograph app. If you don't have it, download it. Use code KFS. Get rewarded for your fandom. Check out all the stuff you usually do, except you get rewarded for it. OG Anunoby, the reason why Memphis wanted him, the reason why everybody around the league wanted him, the reason why the Knicks gave up some really great pieces to get him is because that dude has as good a body control as any defender in the NBA. And Deuce McBride made OG Anunoby lose control of his bodily functions. He couldn't stand. He couldn't keep hold of someone's hand who was trying to help him up. He couldn't return to a seated position. He just lost all control. He was a blob of jelly for what appeared to be several seconds on the bench. And God, I don't know that I've ever seen an NBA player do that to OG Anunoby. Of course, it took someone from his own team to do that, because that's what that Deuce McBride dunk caused. And again, just holy shit. What more can you say, really? But holy shit. That's our Autograph signature moment of the game. But really, there could have been 24 Autograph signature moments of this game. It was that kind of a game. And I've been talking team-wide, and I've been talking in kind of more generalities. The Knicks, yes, they've gone all in, and we know that they're all in. But you look at the moves, typically going all in, all of the moves that a team makes evince some parts of the all in. Hasn't really been the case for the Knicks. They got Brunson for a song. Karl-Anthony Towns was what Karl-Anthony, talk about a guy who took tonight seriously and was pissed off after a certain amount of time. I cannot believe he did not get teed up by the ref at a certain point, because he just yelled in the referee's general direction every time he got yet another offensive rebound and yet another putback. Great game from Towns, but when you look up what they gave up for Towns, and this is not a disparagement against Julius Randle or Dante DiVincenzo or what will wind up being a decent first round pick courtesy of the Detroit Pistons, but that's not exactly something that's gonna keep you up at night. Josh Hart. I had people asking me in newsletter comments a couple days ago, is Josh Hart the best trade? Or I think on here also, people asking me, is Josh Hart the best trade in Knicks history because of how little they gave up? And then you go to OG. We all love Emmanuel Quickley. Many, many people love RJ Barrett. And even then, you look at what he is and you look at what he could do and you compare it to what basically nobody else in the league can do. And now he's feeling it again. And boy, was it a great game for OG Anunoby. Even that trade was not something that, Jesus Christ, OG Anunoby was a plus 41 tonight. It's pretty damn good, right? But it wasn't best on the team. Best on the team was Mikal Bridges, who was a plus 43. And I can read his stat line: 28 points, 12 and 19 shooting, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, couple steals, couple blocks. That's a really nice stat line. That's a really good stat line. If you watch this game for 48 minutes, and he played, thank the good Lord, only 34 of those 48 minutes, you saw the guy that the Knicks were like, yeah, we think he's worth our entire draft for the next 7 years. We think he's worth it. We think his particular skill set, if we are a team that is serious about winning a championship, we need everything he brings to the table. We need what he could do on defense on the ball. We need what he could do on defense off the ball. We need what he could do in transition. We need what he could do on offense off the ball. We need what he could do on offense with the ball. And all the little crevices in between that he has kind of been filling in all year long. But boy, did you see them all filled in tonight, along with a very loud version of all of the things that we know Mikal Bridges was capable of, which is why when they made that trade, a trade which objectively on its face, if you are the biggest Mikal Bridges fan in the world, if you're the biggest Knicks fan in the world, if you're Leon freaking Rose, that trade on its face is an overpay. No one would dispute that it's an overpay, but the conversation wasn't about whether it was an overpay. The conversation is about whether the overpay was worth it. Yeah, they needed to pony up to get that guy. But for the role that he fills and for what he can do in terms of what this team needs for him to do, and like on a night where, like for a lot of the night, Jalen Brunson didn't really have it. Obviously, he turned it on third quarter, and it got personal for him after he got that fourth foul. And, even Karl-Anthony Towns in the first half didn't really have it. Mikal Bridges was their best player in the first half, and then he was really their best player for the rest of the game after that. This was a tour de force from Bridges. It was the reminder that I'm not sure anybody still needed, but in case anybody did need it, it was the reminder that, yeah, whether he was worth it or not, I think the Knicks at this point, I'm not saying that they were up having regrets, but, for anybody who was, you watch a game like that and you're like, all right, you know what? Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but we could sleep with our decision. Like we that's why we did it. And what a game from a guy who's, it's been a weird shout out Fred Katz. It's been a weird season for Mikal. Down then up then down, and now we're back up again. But if you look at the total picture, I think you have to be pretty happy, and I think you have to be pretty encouraged if you're a Knicks fan. So great stuff from him. I could go through literally every Knick that was in the lineup tonight and give all sorts of accolades. Precious Achiuwa probably deserves his own section worth of shout outs. How many big plays did he have? How many big defensive plays did he have? 4 steals and 2 blocks. I'm not even sure that begins to tell the whole story with Precious Achiuwa. Are one of his most impactful defensive performances of the season. And that's even with Jaren Jackson getting him a couple times. Jaren Jackson Jr., you heard GMAC say it, or reference it, I should say, on the pregame pod today, how Sam Vecini, has him on his second team All-NBA so far in the middle of the year. So Jackson's going to do that to guys, but Achiuwa was awesome. And that dude playing with confidence and the right amount of confidence is a beautiful thing. I mentioned Campaign's 3 straight wonderful finishes at the basket. That could have been a very different basketball game if Campaign doesn't step in there and have those moments. Outstanding stuff from Campaign. Landry Shamet, not the best first half minutes, but you know what? By the end of the night, he made a key 3 also when the Grizzlies were trying to get back in the game late in the third, early in the fourth quarter. He contributed. And of course, Deuce McBride. Deuce McBride, I always end up going on and on and on, and someone really important gets left out in the cold that shouldn't get left out in the cold. And tonight it's Deuce McBride. Welcome back to the party, Deuce. Yes, I shouted out his dunk, but it was more than just the dunk. Deuce played with the level of he's had the verve, but I think you saw it. The verve was matched with a little bit more productivity tonight than we have seen recently from Deuce. Again, when that dude's playing with confidence, it's a scary, scary, scary sight. Just everybody contributed tonight. You don't get that sort of performance unless everybody contributes. Yeah, I know Josh Hart didn't have a great night from the field, but he still did what he does, getting his 10 rebounds and 5 assists. And OG Anunoby, 6 steals. Okay, sure. Last thing I'm going to say, and I promised myself I was going to try to keep it to 20 minutes. 2 things. Number 1, the Memphis Grizzlies coming into tonight were, I am double checking this furiously as I speak, I believe the 5th best defense in the league. 6th best defense in the league. They were a hair behind the Boston Celtics, but 6th best defense in the league and 4th best net rating. They didn't really have for the Knicks. I know they're not the sort of switching defense that the Knicks typically struggle against. But outside of a couple of maybe, Towns decisions in the first half where he drove and maybe you should have shot, the Knicks scored 140 points tonight. That's a good defense. That's a great defense, arguably. And they had nothing. So yeah, we're going to talk a lot about the defense tonight. It's going to be the lead story, as it should. But let tonight be a reminder to everybody that if this team does go on to win a championship someday, it is because they have built an offense that is, I mean, at this point, I don't even know that it's a question that it's the greatest offense in franchise history.